All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna do this one from the backyard, from my backyard. It's so beautiful out. Perfect spring day. I'm not sure if it's officially spring, but man, it sure feels like it. So today we're covering the vocabulary for investing. Let me see. Trying to get to the vocabulary. Share screen. There it is. Okay, so intro to investing. All right, so investing, well, let me talk, yeah, so investing, so let me introduce investing. Investing is basically when you take the money that you make, actually you take the money that's left over after you pay all of your bills and you invest some of that money. It's not like a savings account. A savings account is more for emergencies. At least that's what bankers recommend, and I used to be a banker. It's after when you get paid, you pay all your bills, all the taxes are taken out, and then the money that's left over, some of it should go into savings. And then after you fill up your savings, 6 months worth of living expenses is what your savings should be. Then you should start investing. Now, if you work for a big company, the company is usually going to take that money from you automatically. If you work for a smaller company, they might not, and you might have to set up a 401k or an IRA. IRAs are actually done with the smaller companies. 401ks are done by the bigger companies, but we're going to get into some of that in this lesson. The important thing is that it's money left over after you pay your taxes and pay all your bills. So let's get going with this vocabulary. Of course, I want you to do this on a piece of paper. Write a sentence using each word and then draw a picture. All right, so a dividend. A dividend is the payout of profits by a company to all shareholders. So dividends are, it's basically, yeah, there it is. It's profit that the company makes, and then it pays some of that out to owners of the company. And if you own stock in the company, you get paid out a dividend. You can also get paid out a dividend if you're a business owner of a smaller business like an LLC or an S corporation. You can also pay yourself out a dividend, which is, again, profit from the business. And dividend payments are actually taxed at a very low rate. Actually, I believe, well, this year it should be at a 0% rate, but contact an accountant because it does change year over year. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an accountant, but dividend payments are taxed at either 0 or a very, very low rate. FDI insured. Well, this is insurance from the government that protects your money when you have it in the bank. So you can, when I used to be a banker, it was up to $100,000. So if you had a checking account, that checking account was protected up to $100,000. Anything above that, say the bank went bankrupt, then you might lose some of that other money. And that's why people would use different banks and store different money in different banks. But of course, that's if you have a large amount of money like that. FDIC, anyway, it's insurance from the government, protects banks. Inflation, okay, that's when the value of our dollar, it keeps going down as time goes on. Like, I like using gasoline as an example. Gasoline is always fluctuating, but gasoline in the 1970s was a lot cheaper than in the 80s or the 90s and even today. Just look at historical trends. Just like houses used to be a lot cheaper than they are now. Cars used to cost a lot less. That's what that means by inflation. Of course, a savings account, a a lot of people use savings account as emergency money. You know, if your car breaks down, how are you going to fix it? Well, instead of using a savings credit card, you can use a savings account to pay off emergencies. All right, and it's a great thing to start off with a savings account. Again, I talked about 6 months worth of savings. That should be your goal. That's what bankers recommend. That's what investors, investment managers recommend, financial advisors. 6 months worth of savings. That means all your living costs, in case you lose your job or you get sick, something happens. You have 6 months basically to find another job or get back on your feet. All right, 6 months worth of living expenses. That's what a lot of people recommend to have in a savings account. Yield for a savings account, the percentage of interest earned annually for a stock, the annual dividend divided by the share of the price. So a yield, that's a very technical term, but it's basically the money that you're making. All right. That was basically it. Those are the vocabulary words that I have for you. On yield, go ahead. You can Google deeper into yield. Because this calculation, it'd be great to show you a calculation, but there's lots online that you can look at if you want to get further into this technical calculation. If you have any questions, email me or join me in my next Zoom. Thank y'all for stopping by.